Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the third session of our IELTS speaking course. In this course, we practice grammar, collocations, and idioms to help you with your IELTS speaking test. In the first session, we practiced simple present and present continuous. In the second session, we worked on collocations and idioms related to the topic of family. And in this session, we together are going to practice simple past and past continuous. Don't forget to download the handout of the third session on Telegram channel. سلام بچه‌ها، امیدوارم که حالتون خوب باشه. خیلی خوش اومدیم به جلسه سوم از کورس آیلتس اسپیکینگ. تو این کورس با هم دیگه گرامر، کالوکیشن و ایدیم یاد میگیریم که کمک کنه به شما در آزمون اسپیکینگ آیلتس. توی جلسه اول با هم دیگه سیمپل پرزنت و پرزنت کنتینیوس رو یاد گرفتیم. توی جلسه دوم کالوکیشن ها و ایدیم های رو یاد گرفتیم با موضوع فامیلی و توی جلسه سوم که این جلسه میشه با هم دیگه کار میکنیم روی گرامر سیمپل پاست و پاست کنتینیوس. Okay, let's go.
Okay, past simple. When we did something in the past and we want to talk about it, we use past simple. It is finished and it is completed in the past. So, how can we make a sentence? فرمولش چیه؟ فرمش چیه؟ So first we have subject and we have verb and the rest of the sentence. Subject like I, you, she, he, it, we, you, they. And a verb like we have, for example, work. When you want to, we have to use past form of the verb. For a verb work, how can we know what is the past form of the verb work? Generally, in English, there are two types of verbs. One regular and the other irregular. Regular verbs are those that we can add ed to them, like work, worked, travel, traveled, like call, called. But irregular verbs that we have to memorize them are those like go, went, come, came, write, wrote, break, broke, meet, met. Yes, so we have to memorize them. For a word, for a verb am, is, are, we can use was and were. For example, I was, she was, he was, it was, you, we, they were. Yes, so if we want to make a past simple sentence, we can use I worked, or he worked, or he traveled to United States, or she came late, she wrote a letter, she was unhappy, she was upset, they were late for the class. When we want to make it negative, we use didn't. When we have didn't in a sentence, we use simple form of the verb. We do not need ed form, we do not need past form of the verb. For example, I didn't work, I didn't wash, I didn't come, she didn't write, she didn't go. Yes, so when we have was and were in a sentence, we can directly add not to these two. For example, I wasn't hungry, she wasn't hungry, it wasn't hungry, you, we, they weren't upset, they weren't late. Yes, but when we have action verbs like work, talk, walk, teach, they are action verbs. We use didn't, like she didn't teach English, she didn't tell me, she didn't travel a lot. She didn't travel a lot. But when you want to make a question, we use did at the beginning of a sentence. Did you work for the police? Did they work in this company? Did you wash the dishes yesterday? Did you come late for the school? Did you go to school? Did you write a letter to your teacher? Did you call the police? Did you pick up Jack from airport? So all of them, they have did and base form, simple form of the verb. Okay, so we use past simple where and when. Number one, to talk about single past completed actions. زمانی که یه دونه action single past completed action های رو داریم. مثلا I met my friends yesterday. I read a book yesterday. I called my mom yesterday. They are single past completed actions in the past. Yes, so single, one, single. They are related to yesterday. They are completed. I called my mom. I wrote a letter. I met my friends. Yes, they are completed. Yes, they didn't continue up to now. No. Yes, and the time is also mentioned. Yesterday, last week, 2 days ago, 3 years ago, last January, last Monday. Yeah, the time is also mentioned. The exact time is also mentioned. So in simple present, it is so important that you know the exact time. So write it down, please. شما زمان دقیق رو میدونید همیشه. Yes. جایی که زمان دقیق گفته نمیشه. Sometimes you can find some conversation with past simple that speaker and listener, they're talking about something, but they do not mention the exact time. مثلا, for example, I start your class and say, what did we do last session? Yes. Instead of last session, I can say last Friday, but all of my students know that last Friday was last session. So there is no necessity to mention and refer to the time when the speaker and listener know about the exact time. And exact time is clear for everyone in past simple. Okay, no time reference is necessary if it is already known. For example, how did the burglar break in without anyone hearing him? How did the burglar break in? یعنی چجوری اومد تو without هیچ کس نشنید. In the story I just told you about, so everyone know that when did the burglar break in. But the question is, how did the burglar break in without anyone hearing him? یعنی همه میدونن که کی دزد اومده، ولی مسئله اصلی اینه که دارن فکر میکنن چجوری دزده اومد بدون اینکه هیچ کس بفهمه صداشو. So it means that listener and speaker they know about the time reference, so there is no need to say again and mention time reference again. Number 2, to give a series of actions in the order that they happen. So first one was single past completed actions. I called my sister, I met my friends, I completed action, and they were single. There wasn't no order, but here series of actions in the order that they happen. First, second, third, fourth in the past. Is it just one single action? No. Are they in order? Yes. Series of actions? Yes. More than 2 actions? Yes. So, for example, the burglar came in, first action. Picked up the handbag, second action. Emptied it out, third action. Stole her purse, fourth action. So, all of them are in the order. Yes. دزده اومد خونه، بگشو پیکاپ کرد، خالیش کرد، دزدید رفت. So all of them are in the order. So when we want to talk about a series of actions in the past that they are in order, first, second, then, finally, next. Yes. We can use all of them in past simple. بیشتر از 2 تا باید باشه. We have to have actions more than 2. Yes. So we can use simple past. حالا وقتی when we want to talk about them, we can use some connectors like next, then, after that, before, finally, and things alike. بعدی to talk about past repeated actions. You know, when we have simple, present simple, past simple, yes, this word simple, when we have this word simple near to something in English, it means that it is repeated. It is not for short time, it is for a long time. It is simple past. If it is simple present, it means that it is a routine life. It is not for short time, it is for a long time. It is past simple, so it means that the actions are repeated not for the short time but long time, but they do not continue up to now. They finished and completed in the past. To talk about past repeated actions, for example, I worked for University of Tehran for 10 years. Yes. I worked for an institute after I graduated from university. For example, when her son got older, he often went out to visit his friends after school. So repeated action. Working for University of Tehran is a repeated action for me in the past. Or after my graduation, I worked in an institute. It's a repeated action in the past. So when we want to talk about repeated action in the past, not short term but long term, we use simple past. Next one, to talk about longer situation in the past which are no longer true. که الان دیگه درست نیست. دیگه الان بهش نمیتونیم ریفر کنیم. چرا؟ چون they're completed and finished in the past. Bill Murphy worked for the police force for over 17 years. 17 سال بوده که برای پلیس کار میکرده. Is it short-term situation? No. Is it completed in the past? Yes. Is it repeated in the past? Yes. So repeated, completed, long term, we use past simple. Is Bill Murphy working for the police right now? No, no longer true. Okay, so these are the uses or the situations that you can use past simple in. And you know the form, and we can use, you have to memorize list of verbs from back of the book of Grammar for IELTS. Some irregular verbs. For regular one, we can just use ed, or we can add just ed to them, and that's it. Something which is important to wrap up, I have to say that 1, exact time is clear. 2, it's long-term situation, repeated action, completed action in the past. پس کلیدواژه‌های پست سیمپل چیه؟ گذشته ساده زمانی اتفاق میفته و میتونیم ازش استفاده کنیم که 1 زمان دقیقش مشخصه، 2 کار تموم شده و تا الان ادامه پیدا نکرده، 3 repeated action بوده for long time بوده و الان هیچ no longer true. Yes. So این شرایط اگه بود برای خودتون میتونید خلاصه بنویسید بغل کتابتون 1 2 3 4 این 4 شرایط اگه بود اوکی simple present استفاده کن. So let's go to past continuous. Past continuous, the formula is subject I, you, she, he, it, we, you, they, was and verb plus ing form. For example, I was listening to her. I was watching TV. They were watching the news. But when we want to make it negative, we use not to was or were. For example, they weren't watching, they weren't speaking, they weren't talking. I wasn't, for example, walking. She wasn't walking. He wasn't walking. When we want to make a question, we add was or were at the beginning of a sentence and we say, was she walking? Was he walking? Was it running? Were you watching? So, and for answer we say yes, I was, yes, they were, no, they weren't, and things alike. حالا کجا استفاده میکنیم؟ When do we use past continuous? Number 1, to provide the background scene to an action or an event. So, look at me. I am here sitting and teaching you. Look at my background. You can see light, library. This is my background scene. What is important is me. Yes, because I do the main action. I am important in this scene, but the rest is considered as a background scene. So past continuous can be used as a background scene too. For example, we often use words like when, while, and as when we want to use past continuous as a background scene. For example, when two actions parallelly continued in the past without any interruption. Action 1, action 2. For example, my mom was washing the dishes. I was teaching English. So I can use while because there is no interruption between two actions. I was teaching English while my mom was washing the dishes. I was driving my car while I was listening to music. And even you can use as. I was teaching English as my father was sleeping. Parallel actions, there is no interruption. But when you use when, it means that there is an interruption. An action interrupts, stops the other action. For example, I was studying English when my mom called me. When my mom called me, I stopped studying and picked up the phone. So here I can use when, not while, not as. Okay? When there is an interruption, you use when. When there is a parallel actions, you can use while and as. For having a background, you can use past continuous. In Persian, هر موقع که میگیم که داشتم درس بخوندم که can say I was studying English. داشتم مشقامو مینوشتم. I was doing homework. داشتم نگاه میکردم. I was looking. I was watching. I was listening. خب حالا منتظر بعدش اگه هستی میگی while, when. اگه کسی تو رو interrupt نکرده I was listening to music while my mom was driving. اون داشته رانندگی خودش رو میکرده، تو هم داشته listening گوش میکردی. Yes. He was doing his homework in the bedroom. داشته توی bedroom مشقاشو مینوشته که برگلر اومده توی خونه. آیا اون ادامه داده به homeworkش؟ No. Stop شده. Okay? بریم. It is possible to have one more background scene happening at the same time. It's okay. مثلا, for example, he was listening to music and playing computer games while my father was sleeping. دو تا background had. There are two background scene. Number 1, he was listening to music. Number 2, he was working on his computer. He was driving and listening to music while I was sitting alone in the car. I was listening to music and working on my computer when my mom called me. Okay. Next one, when we want to emphasize the activity without focusing on its completion. Remember, this is one of the important facts you have to pay attention to when we have continuous word. For example, present continuous, past continuous. We have ing form. When we have ing form in English, yes, mostly, I say mostly, we put emphasis on the activity. We do not pay attention to is it completed in the past or not. Remember, for simple past I said, you say it is completed. It is completed in the past. But in English, when we use past continuous, it means that the activity is important, but we don't know whether it is finished, it is completed or not. There is a difference between completion and finish. For example, when you say, I did my homework, and when you yesterday, and when you say, I was doing my homework, what's the difference here? When you say, I was doing my homework, is it finished? Yes, it is finished because this is yesterday. Means the action is finished. The action of doing homework is finished. You are doing something else now. Yes. When you say, I was doing my homework, yes, it means that it is finished. The action is finished. You have started another action, for example, going to school or eating or drinking. The action of doing homework is finished. But is your homework completed or not? Maybe there are some lines, there are some pages that you haven't done. Yes. So here, when you say, I was doing my homework, it means that the action is finished, but not your homework may not be completed. Yes, may not be complete. Okay. But when you say, I did my homework, it is the action is finished and it is complete. Yes. For example, look at these sentences. For a while last year, I was working at cinema, studying for my degree, writing a column for the local newspaper. We don't know if the actions were completed or not. Yes, or whether they are happen at the same time or not. So the actions are finished, but maybe they are not completed. But last year I worked at the cinema, studied for my degree, wrote a column for newspaper, and suggest all of the jobs are now complete. It means that maybe she has received, better to say not maybe, the speaker received his or her degree because studied for my degree, wrote a column, so the writing is finished and completed, worked for a cinema, completed and finished. Yes, but for the first one, I was working at a cinema, it means that it is finished. Yes, because the speaker may no longer work at the cinema. But is it completed work? It means that maybe he couldn't work till the end of the month to receive the salary. So it is not completed, for example. So just pay attention to those verbs that we cannot add ed to them. They are state verbs. For state verbs, we cannot make sentences with past continuous. The verb like believe. I was believing, it's not correct. I was agreeing, not correct. Yes. So this session has finished. I want you to find your handout of the third session and do some exercises with simple past and past continuous. There are 2 grammar books that are really helpful for upper intermediate and advanced level. One is Grammar for IELTS, the other is Destination C1 and C2. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment on this video. Hope you a great time.